Welcome in to another week of SportsZone. This week we got a special show for y'all. All of our volunteers decided to stay for one more week, crew and talent. The draft is tonight at 7 p.m. for the NFL. A lot of exciting days for these players where they get to finally see what team they're going to be joining. Joining me to talk about them to start off this day, I've got Matthew Watson and Trey Francis. How you guys doing?
Yeah. Great. Draft tonight.
You've been focused on these players since the Combine?
Oh, yeah. Probably before.
Before the Combine?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Probably middle school.
How big are you on college football? You got some favorite teams in there?
Yeah, I go Horned Frogs all day.
Horned Frogs?
Hey, they put up a good fight. You know, they're easy to cheer for.
Yeah.
I'm a Longhorns fan, so it's been a good year to have Bijan finally have an offensive player that's going to the NFL. I was excited for Sam Ehlinger with the Colts this past year, but it did not pan out very well.
Not like we thought it would.
Jury's still out on Sam, though. Be careful. He could be sneaky eventually.
Okay.
Big if on eventually, though. Emphasis on eventually.
Starting off today's draft show, we're going to look at some way too early predictions. So we're going to take a look at a couple players. Y'all can tell me the background of them, tell me what team you think they should be on, and if you think they're going to get some awards. So, Matthew, let's start with you. Give me a way too early prediction for one of your players.
All right, so my number one is going number one overall, and it's Bryce Young. Bryce Young is a future Hall of Famer. You heard that right, folks. Bryce Young, he has all the intangibles you could think. He's the best Bama quarterback of all time. You're looking at a guy who stays in the pocket, looks downfield like Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. And then the guy who rolls out of the pocket and is like Patrick Mahomes, going to his right, going to his left, makes every single throw, even whenever he doesn't have the same wide receiver room as the other Alabama quarterbacks have had in the past. I think if he had Mac Jones' room, they go undefeated. That's how good of a player Bryce Young is. And we knew about this player whenever he was like in 8th grade. Mm-hmm. I believe that's whenever he got offered to play for Bama. Nick Saban likes to go there, and he likes to look at every player that he can. And Bryce Young, I love him to death. And I think if he goes number one, I think the Panthers should just build around him as soon as possible and as fast as they can.
I like it.
Because that is the winning mentality of young teams. Get the QB, get the wide receiver. Okay, here we go. That's what we need to do. QB, wide receiver. QB, wide receiver. I love Bryce Young. What can I say?
Yeah, Bryce Young, you put the talent around him. If he does go number one, he's got a lot of great potential.
He's got to rely on the Panthers, though.
But that is true. But they got to build. No, that's going to take some time, I think. Yeah. I'm going to start with running back Tyjae Spears from Tulane. Yes, he's little, but elusive. You can't play with your high pad level. Get down there, make those cuts, take off of the end zone. We saw him play in the Cotton Bowl here at AT&T Stadium, and he's fantastic. Legit. And player comparison in NFL, he's like C.J. Spiller. Playing like the little guys.
Yeah.
They're not going to get you that 4th and 1 at the goal line, 4th and 2, whatnot. But if he takes off out of space, he's going for 6.
Now, I don't think he's quite as small as Darren Sproles, but if Darren Sproles can make it work
very well,
then Tyjae Spears could have a very similar role. I like that one a lot. What you were saying with the Alabama, they really have been quarterback university for a while now. Mac Jones, Jalen Hurts, Tua, and now.
Can Jalen Hurts? Can Bama claim Jalen Hurts?
I was gonna say.
It's on the fence.
Yes, but no.
Yeah, they had him. They lost him. I would consider him more of an OU quarterback for sure, since he graduated
He's like
from there.
Of Bama. You're like, okay. You graduated from Alabama. It's not Harvard. Whatever.
He's got both love from both teams. Mm-hmm. So.
I love it. Give me that second player for you.
So that second player is actually going to be a wide receiver, and it's not Jackson Smith and Jigba. It's not Quentin Johnston. It's Zay Flowers, ladies and gentlemen. If Steve Smith has you as the number one wide receiver, chances are you are pretty dang good at your job. So Zay Flowers, he's 5'9", like 180, small guy. That doesn't matter. He gets off the line super quick, possibly faster than anybody on the line. Jackson Smith gets off pretty quick. He runs a pretty good route. I think Zay Flowers runs a better route. I think Zay Flowers is elite whenever he's past everyone else, because that's how fast he is, that's how quick he is. He makes explosive plays after the catch. He does everything that a small wide receiver needs to do, and that is what is the NFL archetype right now, is small, fast, explosive guys who can catch the ball, who can even make big, ginormous plays on linebackers, and you're like, oh, where did that come from?
Yeah.
Oh, it's because he's strong. I I've fallen in love with Zay Flowers. I think he's my wide receiver one. What do you think?
I mean, coming from Boston College, that's tough. He hasn't played, such great teams as if someone from Bama or Ohio State or, OU or a team like that. I know you probably hate me saying OU.
He played against Clemson and did well.
Okay, yeah, exactly.
Wake Forest, he did well.
His other knock is he played all 4 years in college, and usually people like to have the early declare of a 3-year player because that means they were truly elite and ready to move to that next level. So I think he wanted to stay that last year, and it was a very productive year.
But, he's like a good wine or a good bourbon. You age him and he becomes better, That's how I feel with Zay Flowers. You're right, he did play 4 years. But, I mean, playing 4 years, you're playing 4 years in Division I. You're facing ranked teams. He faced NC State. He put up like 150 against NC State. They were ranked 13th at the time. You play your opponent. I love Zay Flowers. I love Zay Flowers.
Is he someone you could compare to someone like maybe Devontae Smith?
Yes.
Yeah?
I like
Devontae Smith.
That's a good comparison, yeah.
Trey, who you have for your second player?
I'm going to roll with defense now. I'm going to kind of switch over things a little bit. I got Miles Murphy from Clemson. Everyone likes that guy who can play multiple positions on the field, not just play, stand up or, 3-point stance type guy. He can go cover running back on the flats. He can, play as a middle linebacker, even like a hybrid type safety. And I kind of compare him to, I guess, like Isaiah Simmons, which out of Clemson as well, just a couple of years earlier.
Clemson likes those guys who can play everywhere.
The utilities, basically. So, you play multiple positions, it opens your horizon for, being a better athlete, better player overall, and teams look for that. I mean, he comes in at 6'5", 268, a solid build. Jeez. I mean, I would not want to be a running back, running down his alley. So, but I think he's gonna have a heck of a career.
And I see you've got Jameer Gibbs as your third player, and we've got Michael Mayer as your third. So this was way too early predictions. Are these some of your guys that you believe are going to be the offensive rookies of the year, future MVPs of the NFL? Matthew, what awards do you see these players
The only
getting?
guy on my list that I think is going to be MVP is Bryce Young. I think that the NFL is way too loaded to actually justify just one solid guy being an MVP. But I do think out of the entire draft, I think Bryce Young has the best chance. Jameer Gibbs, his best opportunity is an all-pro Alvin Kamara type player.
I like it. Real quick, Trey, for your players, what awards do you think they could garner in the NFL?
I mean, I would probably go maybe Miles Murphy, give him, I guess, defensive rookie of the year.
Yeah.
He could play almost like a mini Michael Parsons he could play as. I
love it. Well, we'll have to see what teams they end up on tonight and how their futures end up in the NFL. That's all we have for the way too early predictions, but we've got a lot more for this hour-long show, so come back soon.
And now we return to Fabric of Passion.
Oh, Hector, it will be so hard for us to part, but we must.
But, my love, what did I do? I thought we were meant to be together forever.
I am so disheartened to say that you're just not in style anymore. But you will be, to someone else, in a better place.
You're gonna shred me?
No.
I'm donating you to one of the many clothing donation boxes available on campus. There is one in the Union by the Syndicate and one on Union Circle Drive.
Oh, well, why didn't you just say so? I'm gonna be someone's new shirt.
I thought you'd be more distressed.
Oh, absolutely not. It was cramped in your closet anyways.
Maybe you would like to be shredded after all.
What does Talents do?
So I'm the Vice President of External Relations for Talents. That means that I basically oversee all the external committees. Our external committees entail our Model A, it's a Mean Green Machine. So they bring it to football games especially, so every game it's kind of there, every home game. The Model A is like a symbol of UNC pride, and it's a big tradition that we are so lucky to uphold and maintain. When people look at it, they see it, and they're like, oh, that's the Mean Green Machine. There must be a game today or something to ramp up school spirit for basketball, softball, volleyball, any of those things. We have amazing teams, so we just want to show school spirit for them. Bonfire Committee, which is in charge of putting together the bonfire every year for homecoming. It's kind of just a whole semester-long process up until build week that we have to put together and oversee and make sure safety regulations are followed and risk management is taken care of. Cannon Crew, which oversees and takes care of the cannon. They fire it at games, they take it to special occasions.
Welcome back to SportsZone Draft Show Edition. Now we're going to be looking at some players who are from this DFW area. We've got some guys who are from Denton as well, real close by. Joining me to showcase these players, we've got Gabe Ife and Adam C. How are y'all doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm ready to talk about some local players. How are you doing?
Doing pretty good. Now for me, I'm not from the DFW area. I grew up in Austin, a small town, Pflugerville. Starts with a P, not an F. So Pflugerville area. Did y'all grow up in the DFW area?
I grew up in Denton, so yeah.
Denton, perfect.
I did not. Grew up in West Texas.
There we go.
Yes.
Gotcha. So this is all kind of new to you too. While they're local to you for the college area, not quite as local to you from your hometown.
Yes.
But I'm excited to see who y'all picked for today. So Gabe, we can go ahead and start off with you. Give me some of your players that are from this area.
All right. Let's start off with one of the players I believe could be the best cornerback in the draft. His name is Christian Gonzalez. He's the cornerback out of Oregon. He played at the Colony in high school. He actually played against Isaiah Ortiz.
Nice.
During another one of our analysts.
That's actually where I'm staying right now. I've got a nice place out on the Colony, pretty close to the lake out there. Christian Gonzalez, I have him on the CBS Sports ranking as the 7th best player in this draft and the top corner. So pretty impressive to see him coming out from this area.
I have him going in the top 10. Mm-hmm. He's extremely fast with a really great recovery. He has a rare combination of the size and speed that you really want to see in corners. And then he's a great route reader. Talking about a few of his weaknesses, he doesn't have the best ball skills, and he's kind of inconsistent in the run game. And then he needs to improve a little bit in zone coverage. But zone coverage is a thing that he can learn pretty fast.
You can definitely do that. It just depends on the schemes and things your defensive coordinator wants to teach him as well. I'm sure he'll be able to pick it up pretty easily.
Yes, definitely.
Adam, looking over at the players you found from this area, who would you like to start with?
I like to start with, the one I went to high school with, big old Drew Sanders, the Army tank in a football helmet, All-American first team All-SEC. I'm excited to go either late first, early second, like top 40. He's extremely versatile in terms of strengths. He can do edge rusher or coverage linebacker. He's also really good at diagnosing the play from the start. He has a really good quick first step, and he can beat out most offensive linemen on any given play, which will really help him in the NFL. He also has really good instincts and also sneaky lateral movement, I'm not going to lie. Now, for weaknesses, he is a bit undersized, only 6'3", 235. It's a bit small for especially an NFL edge rusher. He doesn't really play a true defined position, which might come back to bite him, especially because he always mixed the linebacker and edge position at college, and he never really had the defined position. He also bites on play fakes a little because he's a very eager guy, very eager player, and that has come back to bite him. He gets fooled on misdirections a lot. They used to aim it towards him in college football, and he also occasionally takes rough angles whenever it comes to tackling. Is prone to kind of flipping his hips too early, giving the runner the ability to cut back.
Seems like a lot of things that are pretty teachable, though. Like it's just going to come down to the scheming. Similar to like how you were saying, he doesn't have one defined position. Micah Parsons was in a similar way, and they wanted to bring him in as more of an inside linebacker. They were just like, he's too good at rushing the quarterbacks. Now he just stays on the edge for most of the games.
I will say, I do think he should be an edge rusher. That just comes from watching him in high school. That dude can go on the edge. I mean, yeah, he can cover, but I mean, that dude is an animal, and I think they should use him like an animal.
You can find somebody else to cover. If you're able to get to the quarterback, then that should be the top priority. And that is what is most teams' top priorities. They want a defensive end, a signature star DN, to go get the quarterback and build the defense from that point.
Exactly.
I have him ranked as 29th on the CBS Sports rankings. And do you think he makes it in the first round?
Not now. I thought at first, but I think he's probably going to go very early second round, something like Colts or Falcons.
Yeah.
Or also a good fit, the Bills, because they lost Tremaine Edmonds and there's a big hole there. I'm just going to say he'd be able to fill that gap very nicely.
Yeah, and if he was edge rushing opposite to Von Miller, that'd work pretty comfortably, where he doesn't have to be the star quite yet, but he gets a lot of opportunity to learn from one of the best edge rushers in the NFL of the last decade.
Yeah, to ever do it.
I love it. Now let's move on to another player. Gabe, who do you want to showcase?
Next player I'm going with is Clayton Tune, the quarterback out of Houston. He is from Hebron High School in Carrollton. So I don't have too much great of a knowledge, but I know Carrollton's a great, produces lots of football talent. So I knew he grew up competing against so many great players down in that area. He's a really experienced quarterback. He started 3 seasons down at Houston, and he's really athletic. His 40 time was 4.64. seconds, which is really fast for a quarterback. You don't always see quarterbacks kind of in that range. And then he's pretty accurate in the short and intermediate passing game. Some of his weaknesses is his arm strength isn't that amazing. In like the competition, a little bit of the games I did get to see him playing against Kansas and a couple other, I think Tech, a couple of Big 12 teams that Houston faced last year. I noticed he wasn't able to get many deep balls in. The strength just wasn't there as much. He can be mistake prone. He can make some dumb turnovers at some points. And then just his ceiling isn't, at least it doesn't seem very, very high. So it's hard to see him being a starter, although never say never, but his most likely comes in as kind of a backup.
That's what I was going to ask. I was going to say he's definitely not one of those top prospects like a Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud who's going to go in the top 10. I haven't heard too much about him other than knowing he went to U of H. Is he looking to get drafted? Is it looking like he'll get maybe in one of those later draft picks or maybe sign somewhere as an undrafted free agent?
You know, I think he's probably like a day 3 pick. You could see a team such as the Cowboys, maybe the Saints, kind of just looking for a backup, you know, kind of, especially this year, it would just kind of be a emergency quarterback.
Yeah.
But then he kind of grows in, learns one of these systems, and maybe in a couple years you could see him as the backup. But I could see him going day 3, and if not, I think he'd be one of the first undrafted free agents.
Talented enough to make it to a team's practice squad and at least prove himself from there to see if he can get a backup or a journeyman role somehow in the NFL.
Yes.
But you never know. You always see some of these players come out of nowhere and then they end up starting. Dak Prescott being a third-day pick, and now he's the starter for the Cowboys. So we'll see. If we end up hearing more from him, DFW would be pretty proud.
Yes.
My dad actually grew up in Carrollton. I should have checked what high school. It might be the same one, but I'm not quite sure. There are quite a few high schools in that area. All right, Adam, over to you. Who do you have as your second player from the area?
So going from the Ryan area, we're going to move to the rival. I'm looking at Marvin Mims Jr. from Lone Star High School. And at just insane speed, insane agility. Probably a day 2, 3 pick in my opinion. He's an explosive player, high speed motor. He's a yards after catch monster. He has great agility, can get away from everyone. He also tempos routes really well and can easily fool defenders. Lethal with double moves. Also really good ball tracker. And some of his weaknesses, I will admit, he's a bit of an undefined route runner. He wasn't asked to run a big route tree up at Oklahoma, which kind of brings up concern of why didn't they want you running a lot of routes? As well as he's actually really prone to bad starting form. He's prone to standing straight up, locking his knees, leaning too far forward. So the defender
press coverage, it's going to be very hard for him to get off of it if he's already locked in place and then try to get a hold of him.
Yeah, and it takes about an extra step for him to create separation. And everyone knows in the NFL that sort of thing matters. Every second counts. And also, kind of like Drew, he's undersized. He is 5'9". So I don't really see him being much more than a slot position in the NFL. But I think he could work out well on a team like the Ravens.
Sweet. Well, a lot of great players from the DFW area going into this draft. Very excited to see where they go tonight. Once again, that's just the second part of our 6-part draft show for the NFL. So stay tuned for more as we cut to break.
Good evening, my name is Amanda Hasbell, and I'm joining you here today in the Union Parking Garage. Today we're going to be going over how to drive safely in the parking garage. Let's go see. Oh my God, this girl just got hit by a car. Let's go see what happened. Ma'am, are you okay? Did you see that lady hit me with a car? Yeah, we did. I got it all on video. Oh my God. Let's go over here and talk about how we can prevent that. Yeah, not the hospital. Well, right now we're going to ask you a couple questions on how we can drive safely in the parking lot. What are ways that we can be aware of our surroundings?
Oh, we can look both ways.
Jenna, also, how about putting the distractions away?
Yes, just like our phones, turning our music down, and also not focusing on our passengers.
Where can you get information on how to get a parking pass?
Transportation.unt.edu.
If you park in a garage, make sure you pay on the app or look for further instructions on how you should pay.
And remember, no pass, no park. Let's all try to keep our Mean Green community safe.
Remember, we're all in this together.
Drive safe.
Why should you join Talons?
We are very welcoming to people who may be a little bit hesitant. There's people currently right now in our organization who are in leadership positions who were hesitant before to join, and they found out that they just love the organization and wanted to be a bigger part of it. They post about the football games, everything they're doing, all their events that they host.
What's the best part about Talons?
I would say meeting new people, because the university, while it's a kind of small campus in terms of like physical land, there's a ton of people here. And so getting to meet all these people who have so much school spirit and love for this university and wants to spread that to other people, it's kind of like a little miniature family that we're in.
So a man's been walking in the desert for days at a time. He finally comes across a bar and orders a Coke.
That's not funny.
Eh? Eh? And welcome back to SportsZone NFL Draft Edition. Joining me to play a little bit of a mini game here. These guys have no idea what's coming for them. I've got Jay Lathan and Mason Shepard. How you guys doing?
Doing good, man.
How excited are y'all for the draft?
Very excited.
As a Texans fan, I'm on edge.
On edge?
As you should be. I'm a Cowboys fan, so I'm on edge too.
A lot of rumors. I'm very scared right now.
I mean, we're probably just going to get an O-lineman or a tight end at the end of the day.
Yeah.
As much as I want Bijan to drop to it, it's probably not going to happen.
You never know. You never know. I would hope so.
Oh, yeah.
But
we can't miss out on that.
No.
It's a generational prospect.
But it's a Cowboys thing that we would miss out on that. So
we probably would.
Yeah.
Jay, though, Texans, man. There's a lot of rumors going around. Y'all might take Mr. Will Levis at number 2. How would you feel about that before we get into it?
Any chance there's any Texans office member watching this right now? If you draft Will Levis, nobody will show up to the games. You are better off leaving Case Keenum starting and drafting Hendon Hooker. Like, please don't get Will Levis. He's done nothing.
If that happens, then we've got one more Cowboys fan here joining us. Gotta rule out the Texans forever. It's been tough being a Texans fan the last few years, but you'll pull through. You've had the Astros.
Yeah, I've had the Astros.
You've had something.
I guess I'll be an honorary Steelers member if it doesn't work out. You know.
I like it.
Jorge to Jorge Pickens. Pickett to Pickens. Love it.
All right, so I know y'all don't know what we're gonna get into here, but we're gonna do a little bit of a blind comparison between two different players. We're not going to show their names, their faces, anything, just the stats. And so we're going to kind of see if y'all can get some guesses on who you think these prospects are. So if we could go ahead and get that first graphic up on the board with man! The practice round. It's the practice round. All right. It was a quick little look. So let's see. Player A, 22 years old, 14 tackles for loss, 7 sacks. We've got a defensive edge. We do have the position up there. Forced fumbles, 1, and 1 pass deflection as well. Player B, 23 years old, 11 tackles for loss, 8.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 1 pass deflection. But that was in the 22 season. Or no, that would make sense. That's just added in there at the bottom. For some reason, I was thinking it started the 2023 season for the college. Not quite yet, but any guesses so far for who you think these players might be?
Well, you say it's edge, and I feel like if we're going premier edge rushers, one of these has to be Tyree Wilson from Texas Tech.
Yep.
The other guy, older guy. Guys that really don't stay that long aren't in the SEC. They don't stay around that long.
Yeah.
No.
Pac-12 doesn't play defense.
This would have to be this looks probably be more of a Big Ten guy.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Because those are the guys that usually stay around a little bit longer than that, or Big 12, but Big 12 didn't have that many big edge rushers. So I would probably guess it's a Big 10 guy. Do I know the name specifically? I'm going to let you handle that.
We've got Tyree Wilson. We've got Will Anderson.
Big 10 guy. You're talking about, we could go with the edge rusher out of Iowa. What's his name? I can't think of it.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I might, let's see, quick look. Lucas Van Ness? That's who you're looking for?
Yeah, right there. Big 91.
All right. Well, we got Tyree Wilson over here on the left. So you're right. One of these was Tyree Wilson. The other one, a little bit less of a lesser known of a player, Felix Anudike Uzama. I believe I got that right. If y'all want to try to correct me on that, go for it. But yeah, definitely a premier edge rusher over here. Do y'all know of the second player? He was Defensive Player of the Year for the Big 12.
As a Texas fan and knowing how many times we lost to Kansas State, I should know.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm not surprised. Kansas State has always been able to put very solid players in, especially on the defensive side of the ball, and it doesn't surprise me that they've got a premier edge rusher that may have flown a little bit under the radar, but still, I feel like he could be able to produce whatever team he goes to.
Yeah. Well, this second one might be a little bit easier. We'll see if we can figure this one out. We've got two quarterbacks, one of them 25, the other 21. 32 to 5 touchdown interceptions, 27 and 2. Completion percentage both in the high 60s, 3,000-ish passing yards. QBR pretty close as well. Now, I think there's one factor in here that gives it away for me, and I don't know if y'all are going to pick up on it, but what are y'all's first impressions on this?
One thing that stands out for me is you got a young guy right there on the
Very
left
much
side.
so, yeah.
Versus
4 years younger.
A seasoned college veteran right there.
Yep.
That touchdown to interception ratio is very efficient right
Pretty
there.
impressive.
Yep.
I will give a hint. These players played against each other this season.
So we're assuming with a younger guy, can I have the conference?
We'll go
conference, yeah.
I can give you the conference. Hey, I think I can do that for you. We
Okay.
got the SEC.
SEC. Okay.
So try to think about some of those SEC prospects we've got.
With a lot of big passing number yards there.
Yeah.
I believe player A can't be Anthony Richardson because of the fact that there's a lot of touchdowns there.
The completion percentage is way too high.
Yeah. He couldn't be Richardson. So with player, and he's relatively young, so I'm gonna have to go Bryce Young.
Bryce Young for that one. Do you have any guesses for player B before we reveal it?
Him being, and they played against each other. Are they from the same conference?
Yes,
actually,
within the same conference.
Due to the fact that their touchdowns are so low, it could be Hendon Hooker because he didn't play that many games.
True.
So I'm gonna go with Hendon Hooker.
All right, let's go ahead and reveal it. That is correct for both of them. We've got Hendon Hooker versus Bryce Young. Hooker 25. That was the one that gave it away for me.
Yeah.
I can't quite remember how his college career has played out, but I know with COVID and with redshirting freshmaning, it's kind of gotten mixed up for him where he ended up staying in college for quite a while. Not quite Austin Ani long, but
yeah, UNC's the last place.
All right, let's take a look at this next comparison we've got. We've got two running backs, 21 years old, over 1,500 rushing yards, both pretty high in yards per attempt, similar rushing touchdowns and barely more receiving touchdowns. Now, one of these is a premier player. The other one is a lesser known, probably a day 3 draft.
I know
pick.
player B.
Who's player B?
That's Bijan.
Oh, you know his stats.
That's Bijan.
Oh, there we go.
Big hook 'em
That's
guy.
Bijan.
I like it. Well, if we know that one's Bijan, any guesses for player A?
19 rushing touchdowns. He was a monster in the red zone.
This is a Conference USA player.
It's Tulane's running back Greenway. Tajay Spears.
That's a pretty good guess. Let's go ahead and take a look and see who we've got. Not Tajay Spears, but we're fortunate enough to have two really good running backs in Conference USA that are going to this draft. The UAB. That's not Conference USA?
Dang.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, I swear. They're about to be, though, right? We're moving in with them, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
Or the American. All right, let's go ahead and move to that last one that we've got.
All right.
Two wide receivers, 21 and 23. Receiving yard, big difference there. Yards per reception. Player A does have more, but he has less touchdowns and less drops. Any guesses on these first impression players?
Well, this guy is for sure a home run hitter.
Yeah.
Man. That makes me think Quentin Johnston from TCU.
I like it. I will say one of these is probably going to be a first-round draft pick, and then we've got another day 3 player.
And this guy.
God, see, with those low receiving yards, I wouldn't know if it's because of him or probably because of the quarterback, or maybe their running game is really good, because college teams are like that. When the running game is really good, they don't usually try to throw the ball as much. So teams like that usually reside in more of the
Northern.
God.
Yeah. I will say one of these players won I think it's the Blitnikoff Award, if I'm saying that correctly. So they were one of the offensive players of the year. Oh, wow. So I don't know if that helps y'all in any way, if you can remember back. But final guesses?
I'm going to go Josh Downs.
Josh Downs is one of them. All right, let's go ahead and reveal it. Now we've got Jordan Addison.
And
It was
literally right.
Houston later than I told you.
How could I have done such a thing?
Oh, man. Tank Dell, some surprising numbers for a guy who's not getting the high praises is Jordan Addison, who played with Caleb Williams this year. He was the one that won the award with Kenny Pickett at Pittsburgh in the 2021 season.
Really?
Yeah.
Goes for a loop.
I can't quite remember the stats from that year's, but they were pretty impressive. He had like 30% target percentage for his team. But that's all we've got for this block. We've got a fun one coming up next, looking at some of these gems in the draft, the players that might not get talked about as much compared to the top quarterbacks and top prospects. So stay tuned for more.
Oh, hey, didn't see you there. Let's get started. This is a motor vehicle. This is the blinker mechanism. To use it, push it up for the right blinker and down to go left. You're welcome. It was easy.
It's that time of year where everyone plays a dangerous game with the flu. Going in uneducated, you run the risk of symptoms like cough, migraine, and fatigue. Don't be like this guy. Combat the flu with cough drops, ibuprofen, and a good night's sleep. Be smart, don't catch the flu.
Has the weight of stress and anxiety ever felt too heavy to overcome? Wish there was a safe place to confide in? Wish granted. At UNT, we offer counseling and testing services to students located on the 3rd floor of Chestnut Hall. UNT, we're here for you.
Welcome back. This show's got a lot of hot prospects who are getting all the news, all the buzz. CJ Stroud been moving down in the rankings. Will Levis been moving up. They're the ones that are getting all the information and all the media praise on them right now. Some other guys are slipping. So joining me to tell us about these players that have not been getting the recognition that they need, I've got Matthew Wagner and Isaiah Ortiz. How are y'all doing today?
Doing great. I'm excited for this draft.
Awesome, awesome.
Draft day is one of my favorite days of the year. I can't wait.
That's exactly what I was going to ask. I was going to be like, you guys big draft guys? Y'all been following it for a while?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Ever since the first rankings came out, you're following it, until now.
Yeah.
Essentially.
I remember I was playing Madden Mobile in like 2014. I was following everything on Madden Mobile from the combine players and stuff. That's awesome. And I was like, oh, this is actually really cool in real life too. Exactly. So I ended up following it more and more as the years went on. So, Matthew, go ahead and give me one of these players that you believe is a hidden gem.
You know what? I know everyone thinks he's got raw talent. Jalen Carter. Give me Jalen Carter. I know a lot of people, say, he's got that raw attribute. I think I can see him dropping because of all those on-field, issues, off-field issues. And, can he be that raw talent? Yeah, so someone's going to take a chance on him. I actually had him going to the Detroit Lions. I like to see where he goes. I also got Peter Skoronski. A lot of teams need offensive tackles. We'll see where he goes. And then, of course, Devin Witherspoon, Illinois. Easily one of the fastest corners in the draft. And one thing I noticed about him when he plays is he can find the quarterback's eyes. He reads that so well. And I'm excited to see where he ends up.
So with Jalen Carter, he's been dropping for a lot of, off the field issues there. So if he goes to the Lions, then he would be playing alongside Aiden Hutchinson on a defensive line that needs some help, a defensive team that needs help.
Yes.
So if he doesn't go to the Lions, do you have some other prospects that you think might get him? The Lions are at 6, I believe.
Yes. I did have him also going to the Falcons possibly. Falcons do need a lot of help on the defensive end. And I don't know. I mean, if he falls far enough, some guys have fallen really far. I can see him definitely going to the Cowboys. The Cowboys need defensive help after losing some guys.
Yeah.
Let's see where he goes.
Jerry Jones does like his project players. He
Oh,
believes
he's-
he can bring the best out of people and
For
get them
sure.
to change for the better.
Shout
So
out
I would love
Lyle
it.
Shout out Lyle Collins.
Yeah, Lyle Collins. Even Zeke had issues where Jerry Jones went to bat for him, and Zeke still got the
works out,
suspension,
exactly.
and it worked out because now Zeke was one of the best, because no longer is he a Cowboy.
Sadly.
Was one of the best in the locker room at just being a leader and getting those guys to come out and put in their best every single day. So I would love to see if he could do something similar with Jalen Carter and just bring the best out of this guy.
For sure.
Isaiah, go ahead and give me a little bit of a rundown for one of your players.
Yeah, I noticed, Matt, that you had a little bit of the top guys in your draft, guys who could slip a little bit, but I had some sleepers who could go, early second. Eric Gray, I'm going to start off with him. He's projected to go in the 5th round. He might be my favorite sleeper in this whole draft. Reminds me so much of Aaron Jones. It's like the perfect Aaron Jones prototype. Potential 3-down back in the league. This running back class is stacked, so he's being overshadowed by a good amount. The best thing about Eric Gray, he has a production in his senior year. That was his first year as a starter because he sat behind so many better OU running backs, and at Tennessee, he sat behind those running backs as well. I'd like to see him go to a team like the Bengals or the Browns because a lot, like Aaron Jones, Aaron Rodgers believed in him a lot as a 3-down back, and he wanted him on the field. I think if you get Eric Gray, even on a team like the Chiefs, where a quarterback believes in him, wants him on those 3rd downs, very important. Josh Downs, another one of my favorite ones. To me, he's number 6 consensus board right now. I think that's way too low for him, me personally.
I had him at 4 actually on my consensus.
For the wide receivers?
Yes, I have him 4.
It's pretty high up. But yeah, he's been in that 5, 6, 7 range because I think it's the Quentin Johnston, Jordan Addison, JSN seem to have the top 3 locked.
Yeah.
Oh, Zay Flowers as well.
Zay Flowers, yes.
So who'd you move out if you've gotten the top 4?
I moved Zay Flowers out. I don't know. I just think there's some injury problems there for him. Like he's complaining about ankle problems, and the problem with like wide receivers, the second your legs go, your whole skill set goes. So
makes sense.
We'll
But
see.
I do really like Josh Downs as well. So what else did you have?
I do like him. A lot of things that scouts don't like about him is his size. He's 5'9", 175. That's not a problem for me because he plays bigger than his size. This stat from Pro Football Focus, 72.2% contested catch rate, one of the best rates in college football. If he can make those big plays in the slot or you can just throw it up to anywhere, it doesn't matter his catch radius, he's going to be great, especially on those 3rd downs. And the best thing about him, he has a Steve Smith seal of approval. If he gives you that seal, then you're going to be a great wide receiver.
One of the saddest comparisons I saw for Josh Downs was Kadarius Toney. And
that's not sad.
Tony's got the talent. If you have the talent of Tony, but you can stay on the field, then he's probably going to be a pretty explosive player.
So I want to see Josh Downs. I can definitely see him being maybe not the top wide receiver, but he'll definitely be
being up there.
Oh yeah, easily.
Yeah, I like it. And you've got one more player up there on the board. For a second, I thought it was Kevin White, and I got like flashbacks to him just being absolute trash for the Bears.
Oh yeah.
Unlike Kevin White, I don't see him going number 9 to the Bears.
Yes.
But he does have 1st-round value, and he's being mocked to the 1st round a lot. And I think this is more of a fan. Fans don't understand this type of hype, but I think it's warranted because he's an athletic monster. He lit up his pro day. I mean, just amazing combine stats, and he has the production to match it as well. One of the best tackle for loss productions with 14, 7.5 sacks. The best thing about him too is he's an athlete because he originally went to Old Dominion to play tight end. They moved him. And then he went to Georgia Tech, played some edge, played some inside D-line as well, can play the 3, can play the 5, even stand up, depends on where he goes. But I think just based on his raw athleticism, he doesn't have that go-to pass rush move yet in his bag, but I think he can add that. And if a team like the Eagles get him, or like you get a Dan Quinn to work with him as well, it's going to be great. I think he's going to be really good in the NFL.
Awesome. Well, I remember earlier you were talking about Eric Gray and saying he could possibly go to the Chiefs.
Yes.
So one thing that's cool about that is Pacheco was a 3rd-day pick. I believe he might have been 7th round. He might have been that last round.
He was 7th round,
6th or 7th.
6th, 7th, yes.
So yeah, if the Chiefs can pick up a running back who was that explosive in the Super Bowl, then I could see the same thing for an Eric Gray going to a contender, sneaking his way up on the depth chart there.
And they
so
can have
impressive.
and if he develops with the Chiefs, they can have that thunder lightning duo with Pacheco and him. And I think that would be great for them.
And we saw what Jerick McKinnon gave him, and he's not going to last forever. He's like reaching 28, 29 years old.
He's 30 already. He's old. He's doing it his 31st year.
Old. But Eric Gray, one of the best in the open field in this draft class. So slippery, not easy to tackle. So if you get him to a team like the Chiefs, where there's always going to be open field, always room to operate, he'll be a perfect fit, a seamless fit. and they don't have to spend first-round picks on running backs anymore. For them. Other teams, yes, but for the Chiefs, no.
Now, I know for Jalen Carter, you gave me some of the teams that you wanted him to go to.
Yes.
But you had Witherspoon, and remind me your other player as well for that one.
Yeah, I got Peter Skoronski.
So what teams do you see them going to? Those are two pretty high top prospect players.
Yeah. So Peter, I actually had him originally. I thought he could be a good fit. I don't think he'll drop as far as the Packers will, but if he does drop, I got the Packers. They got Jordan Love now. He needs he's an All-American. They need guys that can protect him. Maybe he even goes to the Jets, especially to protect Aaron Rodgers, their new quarterback. I love to see it. And then Witherspoon, I did actually have Witherspoon going to the Lions. They need defensive help.
Big defensive draft for them.
Yes.
They got a lot of offensive firepower. They're one of the best last year for sure.
Yeah, and we'll see that. So I'm excited to see what this draft can bring.
Yeah, I like that Skoronski take because that's where I had him going in my mock draft. I really look at David Bakhtiari at 31 years old, thinking, how much does he have left in the tank? A lot of injuries concerns with him. Aaron Rodgers isn't even there. They could go younger at that position. And with all that O-line injuries, with Elton Jenkins getting injured as well, Josh Nijman at the right tackle, I think that's really a good fit for him. Even if he has to start at guard, if that's where he projects, and then he can move out to left tackle like we saw with Tyler Smith this year, then that's a really good fit for him.
Oh, for sure.
Is this y'all's top O-lineman in the draft?
Yeah, I have Peter Skoronski going top of lineman right now. I mean, he's definitely one of the easier, obviously consensus picks because he's, one of the most physical guys. His only problem is sometimes, his awareness isn't there. I think, with any good team, he develops that pretty quickly.
I like it a lot. So looking at hidden gems, and here at UNT, we've had one hidden gem that we were talking about a little bit before the show, but you were talking about who you believe could possibly be Mr. Irrelevant this year. Now, I know it's a hot take, but go ahead, hit me with it.
Yeah, Austin Aune, dude. I'm telling you, maybe goes last in the draft, or someone's going to take a chance on him. Hopefully Al Davis is still alive somewhere where he'll look at him and go, man, he's physical and he's a great guy, he's got a good arm. Let's draft him. I can definitely see him doing that.
I like it a lot. I don't know what type of gem he would be. Probably not a diamond or a ruby, but something a little bit lower down. Sure. But hey, Brock Purdy can do it.
He can do it, sure. Yeah, why
I don't
not?
even know if I can say that one with a straight face. Isaiah, what do you think of Austin Aune?
Look,
Any
man,
chance?
A lot of teams want veteran experience, and when you have a quarterback with a 401k, it's going to be pretty good.
When you have a rookie who's 29 years old, you've got a new veteran on your team right away. Yeah. Well, that's all the time we have for this block here. But coming up next, we're going to do our classic Bowl of Takes game and see what draft takes are in there. I don't know what's in there, and the talent won't as well. So come back and join us for that fun segment.
Hey man, are you okay in there? You look terrible. Have you been up all night? Don't you know that according to the American Academy of Sleep Medicine, staying up all night can have a negative effect on your GPA?
Sleep?
Yeah, go to bed.
Live from UNT, it's Wheel of Culture!
Welcome back to Wheel of Culture. Our contestant is so close to solving this puzzle. But first, it's time to give the wheel a spin. Wow, you landed on London, one of the many places where you and your fellow students can go on a chance to experience new culture. But only if you can solve this puzzle.
I'd like to solve the puzzle. Study abroad.
That's correct. You just won yourself a trip to study abroad in London, England, and you can too. Just go to studyabroad.unt.edu to see deadlines and apply for scholarships. Get ready to study abroad.
I lost my sheets and the ball right before it happened. But thanks for coming back and joining us for our Bowl of Takes. Joining me here, I've got Simeon Formwalt and Mark Barrera. How are y'all doing today?
I'm doing
pretty
great.
good. Awesome, awesome. Well, we've got a special bowl here for the day with our takes. So I hope y'all guys are prepared. Do y'all follow the draft pretty closely?
As a Packers fan, I would like to think I do.
You do. You do your best.
I do my best.
I got you. Well, let's see how you do today. Go ahead and start it off here. All right. We've got the Packers finally draft a receiver after trading Aaron Rodgers. How likely is that?
You can go first.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Packers fan. For the past, I don't know, since they drafted Aaron Rodgers, they have not picked a single offensive weapon besides his backup, Jordan Love. The draft day is always miserable for a Packers fan. If they do pick a wide receiver, I will be extremely happy. Now that they have the 13th pick, Jackson Smith, if he falls to 13, I see them taking him. But I do believe the Texans will pick him at 12.
I love it. Yeah, Jason would be a great pick for them. It's gonna have to be memed if it happens. If Aaron Rodgers leaves the team and they finally take a first-round wide receiver. Oh man, I can't wait to see what memes people have to pay for that.
That would be hilarious if they did. It's just very much so karma, especially the day after. That'd be hilarious.
So we've got a lot of takes in here, so we're gonna go ahead and fly through as many as possible. Lucas Van Ness, defensive end from Iowa, goes top 10. How likely do you see that happening?
I don't see it happening. You know, I think there's other team needs other than Lucas Van Ness. I know a lot of the boards have him around that 13, 11, 12 area, but I don't think he's top 10. He is a good defender when it came to Iowa, and he was the leader of that defense, but I don't think he's top 10 worthy.
Yeah, I don't quite see it either.
Yeah, I mean, I also am an Iowa fan, Packers and Iowa fan. So, I mean, watching Iowa, offense terrible, defense was amazing, and he was the staple of that defense besides Jack Campbell.
Are you sure you haven't seen these? Back-to-back ones that you already know.
I see him the highest. I see him going to the Falcons. It's a very Falcons pick. Is it a good pick? No. Will they do it? Maybe. I can
reach for it. The Raiders are known for reaching as well. So
Raiders
you never know.
I could actually see him going to the Packers too. Really, if they wanted to get him.
If that happens.
Well, let's keep flying through these. Will Levis goes first overall to the Panthers after his betting odds have skyrocketed.
No.
It's a no.
There is no way.
It's odds from 400 to 40 to 1. That's a pretty good jump.
I would put maybe $10 just in case it hits, but there is absolutely no way Will Levis goes. Yeah.
My theory is the reason his odds skyrocketed is because someone put in a sports betting subreddit that he was telling his friends and family that the Panthers were taking him. I feel like that person put money on him and decided to do that just in case it hits, or it's just wants
so smart.
Yeah, it is. It's just playing with it's like stocks. You got to play with it. Yeah.
I'd be surprised because the Panthers have switched from Stroud to Young back and forth a little bit as the combine stuff has happened. Let's see what we've got next. Bijan Robinson is drafted in the top 10 of picks.
No, I don't see it.
Can't see it?
I don't see it. I mean, you don't take a running back. A lot of people say don't even take a running back in the first round.
Yeah.
Obviously, Bijan, he has the talent to be that person, to be a running back to take it in there. But top 10 is way too high. I can see maybe Philly jumping on him. If he
They're
gets
the
a
only
chance.
one at 10.
Yes,
I could see
at
them
10 maybe,
them.
but I don't think he goes top
Philly's
10.
been rare to draft running backs that high, and I feel like Howie Roseman is probably going to go another direction.
I think so, but they did lose Miles Sanders.
They did.
So he could just pop in that
They
role.
do need a running back. They picked up Rashad Penny, and then they still got Kenneth Gainwell. That's about all they have.
Yeah.
But I would love to see if they do get Bijan. They've got another pick later on in the draft, so do the Cowboys. So if he slips that far, he could still make it to him. All right. We've got Hendon Hooker gets drafted in the first round.
I can see it happening. I can see the Vikings taking him because I mean I can see them phasing out Kirk Cousins. I mean he has to sit out for a year with his injury. I mean it's what it's looking like. So I can see him sitting behind Kirk Cousins for that year and then starting after that.
No, I agree. I agree. I think a perfect thing would be either Anthony Richardson or Hendon Hooker to the Vikings. So I agree.
I thought there was a chance he might go to the Ravens, but then there was the breaking news today.
Breaking news today.
Actually signed the contract.
I
didn't see it happening. Yes. I really thought he was just completely done with the Ravens, but of course it's probably all part of the negotiations for him and then the smoke screens and everything.
Exactly.
So we'll see. We'll see if Hendon Hooker ends up going to the Vikings. All right, we've got the Texans will opt to draft a non-quarterback at the number 2 pick.
I could see it. Honestly, I could see them getting Will Henderson instead of getting a quarterback, but they do definitely need one. I don't think Davis Mills is the answer for Houston, but they have a pick at 12, so I do think they could just flip-flop because Will Henderson is the best defender that we've seen in the draft for a while. So I agree. I think it's a possibility, yeah.
I think it is. I think the smartest thing would be for them to trade back even. If they could just trade back a little bit, then grab one of those defensive players they want at the top, and whoever else they want at 12. But yeah, go ahead and give me what you believe on this one.
I believe that if the Panthers take CJ, I think they'll then take Bryce Young second. But if Panthers pick Bryce Young, I do not see them taking Stroud at 2. I see them, like you said, taking Anderson.
Sweet. Well, that is all the time we have for the Bowl of Takes. All right. And for the last segment, we're going to be doing a little bit of a mock draft just about an hour before the actual draft is going to start. So stay tuned for this final moment of the NFL SportsZone Draft Show.
Movie.
Yeah, I really liked it.
Yeah, so we have to watch the next one before next class, right?
We do?
I think so, but it's not on Netflix and it's not on Hulu, so...
Man, I don't want to pay for that.
So what do we do?
You think there's a place we could go to get the movie?
I'm not sure, maybe?
Oh, there's a place to get the movie.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah, it's right here on campus. Come on, I'll show you.
Welcome back to the final moments of the NFL SportsZone Draft Show. I'm your host, Brendan O'Donnell, and closing it out today, we're going to be doing a top 5 mock draft, looking at those top 5 positions. Joining me to do it, we've got Brandon Brown and Steven Lucera. How are you guys doing?
Doing good. I'm just happy it's draft night.
Awesome. Me too. I've been waiting for this forever. After the Super Bowl ends, this is like the one thing I look forward to, and now I've just got all summer of baseball and a little bit left of hockey and the NBA as well. But let's go ahead and take a deep dive into what y'all have for your top 5 picks. Brandon, we go and start with you. Who do you have at number 1 overall?
With the 2023 first overall pick, the Carolina Panthers select C.J. Stroud from Ohio State.
I love it.
I'm going C.J. Stroud. I know there's been some reports that Bryce Young might end up being the number 1 pick. Very valid, but I just can't get over the reports I heard earlier of Stroud going number 1. Josh McCown, quarterback's coach for Carolina, really likes him. I think he's still a lock for number 1.
I believe it as well. I think a lot of this could be just smoke screens, and that
I
people
agree.
are trying to mess with some of these players' stocks in hopes that some of them might slip to them in a later part of the draft where they could trade in or grab them later. But C.J. Stroud, to me, is the number 1 quarterback in this draft. I do have size concerns for Bryce Young, who I see is at your number 2. But before we get to that, Steven, who do you have as your number 1?
So for me, number 1, I do have Bryce Young.
There we go.
I had C.J. Stroud for a little while. Obviously, there's some switching up. But in the end, I do have Bryce Young going number 1. You talked about size concerns. I just think he's the smartest player. I think he's the best player in this draft, quarterback-wise. I think he does go number 1. C.J. Stroud, there's been a lot of talks about him sliding all the way down the board now. That I do believe is a smokescreen. I think the Texans wanted to gauge trade value, see if maybe they could trade down. Don't think they're getting the interest they wanted, so I think they do go ahead and take C.J. Stroud.
I like it. I think with Bryce Young, I feel like I've been burned a little bit where I really liked Tua as a prospect, and I really liked Kyler Murray in the NFL, and neither one of them has been able to really stay fully healthy on the field. And I believe Bryce Young might be smaller than the both of them. They say he's 6 feet, but I'm pretty sure it's more
He's
like
5'10" now. He's 5'10"
yeah, it's more like
now.
5'10", maybe 6 feet in heels and cleats. All right, so y'all got the same top 2 picks there. I like it. I think that's pretty set in stone, unless the Texans, of course, decide to trade back or go with Will Anderson, which I would be very shocked. They're in dire need of a quarterback.
I think they only do that if Bryce Young is taken by Carolina number 1.
You don't think they're C.J. Stroud fans?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think DeMeco Ryans, a defensive-minded coach, he has a list of defensive players he's really just starving to work with, and I think Will Anderson's one of them. But if we see Bryce Young is there, he's there at number 2, I think they don't even think about it. They just grab their guy for the future, have a few.
Just grab Will Anderson.
Right.
Unless the only thing I can see is if they traded back to like the 4 or the 5. You know, with the Colts or something, if the Colts wanted Stroud, but that's an in-division trade, and that's probably very unlikely to happen, so I like it. Going and looking at y'all's number 3 picks, this is where things could get interesting. The Cardinals do have Kyler Murray. They are sitting at number 3, especially if the Texans do take Will Anderson. Where do the Cardinals go from there? So who do you have, Brandon?
So I think, like in my mock, right, I have the quarterbacks going 2. first two picks. I think Cardinals love Will Anderson just a little too much to trade away from 3. But if the Texans do take Will Anderson at number 2, Arizona, maybe they don't like Tyree Wilson as much. They trade back with Tennessee. Tennessee grabs C.J. Stroud or Will Levis or whoever's available at number 3. I think they only stay if Will Anderson Jr. is there.
I like it. Who do you have as your number 3?
Yeah, I agree.
A little bit of a trade, right?
Yeah, in there I actually I had Will Levis because at first I was thinking maybe the Raiders have some interest in getting up to 3. That was my original point there. Now there's a little bit of switching around. I think the Titans are a possibility. If they trade up to 3, I think they're more interested in Anthony Richardson. So to me, if the Cardinals stay at 3, it's Will Anderson, absolutely, if he's there. If someone does decide to trade up, then I think you get one of those quarterbacks, either Will Levis or Anthony Richardson, depending on the team.
I think that's probably the most likely team to end up trading is the Cardinals at 3. It feels like they're a little bit too high for the talent that's there.
Exactly.
They could get a lot more. They need more than just one guy. They've got a lot of holes at this point, especially if they get rid of Hopkins in some way or another. So I could really see them moving pieces around and trying to grab as many draft picks as possible. But moving on to number 4. I'm excited about this because this is where Will Levis has been skyrocketing in people's drafts, and Anthony Richardson's been dropping. So who do you have at number 4?
I got to stay true to myself. I think Richardson still gets picked before Levis at number 4 to the Indianapolis Colts. Do I think this is a good fit? No, not at all. I actually think Levis, despite his flaws, is a better fit for Indianapolis's offense. But I think Chris Ballard, with all of his misgivings, takes the quarterback who's had the more hype around him up into these 2 weeks, like before these 2 weeks, and takes Anthony Richardson from Florida with this number 4 pick.
I like it a lot. Steven, over to you. Who do you have at number 4?
All right, so on this mock draft, I did have Will Levis going number 3. I'm sorry about that. Anthony Richardson is 4. But to me, it's interesting here. I think the Colts actually get the quarterback they wanted all along. There's been a lot of hype about Will Levis going to the Colts. They're really interested there. I think Anthony Richardson actually makes the most sense. I think with the Eagles' former offense coordinator coming in to coach, I think they kind of try the Jalen Hurts system. He's not Jalen Hurts. He's definitely not. I can't get a single comparison to him. There's a lot of different guys. A little bit of Cam Newton, a little bit of, I said Jalen Hurts, but he's an alien. He said it himself. There's a lot that can go with him. He can be boom, he can be bust, but I think the Colts do go ahead and stick with Anthony Richardson
I think
number 4.
that would probably be the best route to go with him. They've got Jonathan Taylor, they've got Quentin Nelson on the offensive line, an O-line that was one of the best 2 years ago. They kind of slipped a little bit this year, but the team was falling apart throughout the whole year. I mean, they hired a not even a coach as their interim head coach, Mr. Saturday. So I think this year should go a lot better where the team can stay more well put together, and you could just run the ball a lot. Anthony Richardson is very powerful, very strong. I think he liked to call himself, I think it was like Cam Jackson. He thought he was a Cam Newton, Lamar Jackson hybrid. So that would be awesome to see. I think that'd be the most successful way they could implement him in the system as they try to train him and his arm to be better in the pocket, as that's been his downside, is his completion percentage. But looking at that last pick at number 5, we'll stick with you, Steven, while we've got you up here. You've got Will Anderson at 5 to the Seahawks, I believe.
Yes, the Seahawks. So if Will Anderson is here, which is a big if with all the changes, I think the Seahawks do go ahead and snag him. If he's gone, I think you look for Jalen Carter, maybe even Tyree Wilson to be that pick. So there's, again,
I think this is very probable that quarterbacks go 1 through 4, and then that's when the real draft starts. And we'll see what happens after there, because teams could definitely trade up into here. Brandon, ending it with you. Who do you have at 5?
I got to say, I love your pick of Will Anderson at 5. And overall, I think there's a great chance they select an edge rusher with this pick, Tyree Wilson probably. I think they got to go Will Levis, though. They like the idea of sitting a quarterback behind Geno. Great locker room guy, great leader. They like the idea of sitting behind him for a while, and then 3 years down the road, he'll be ready to start for a decade and a half.
Sweet. Well, thank you to everybody for joining us for this special edition SportsZone Draft Show. This draft is going to start in 1 hour at 7 p.m. The Carolina Panthers will be on the clock. So thank you so much, and have a wonderful night.